Welcome to Connecting the Dots with Dr. Food. That's Dr. David Hughes. We have been very busy lately at the Center for Food Integrity as we track the forces that are shaping trust in food and agriculture. Boy, the world is certainly changing, and David is here to help us understand what's happening around the globe with his lifetime of experience in the food industry. And again, he travels globally. So welcome, David. We are glad we caught you at home between trips.
July, actually, I was at home, or at least in the UK. Although last week I was helping my son launch his ale and cider festival. He's in the food and drink business in the southwest of England, which is a cider drinking area. And in the UK, if it's called cider, that means it's hard cider, because if the cider doesn't have alcohol in it, we just know it as apple juice, to be
Right.
perfectly honest. So, yes, this week I'm in my home in Wales, and next week I'm en route to New Zealand. It's a long old way for us. It's 2 days to get there and 2 days to get back. I'm going via Houston and back via Los Angeles. And when I arrive in New Zealand, of course, August is winter time in that thin but long country. It's got a tiny population, but it's quite it from toe to top to toe, it's 1,300 miles. So that's sort of like Chicago through to Miami. Looking forward to going there anyway.
Yes, it is a beautiful country. And speaking of the size geographically, but also from a population standpoint, New Zealand has 5 million people. The Houston metro area, where you're flying through, has 7. So a small number of folks, but you'll have a great time, and I'm sure they will benefit tremendously from having you there. So this morning, we're going to discuss how climate change might impact fruit and veg production, how families are dealing with food price pressure this summer, which is a problem and challenge for everyone around the globe, and the evolving role of convenience stores in food retail as they continue to kind of reshape who they are. So let's start by something that is always top of mind for those of us in food and agriculture: the weather. We can't not talk about the weather. It's been a hot summer here in the Midwest, and even more so in Europe and the UK. David, what's the latest?
Right. Well, you're right, Charlie. The news bulletin, it's all about hot and climate change. There's been major heat waves in southern Europe. Spain recently had 110 Fahrenheit, and I was just looking at Turkey last week, the parts of it which had a record 120
Wow.
Fahrenheit, for goodness sake. And incredibly, shallower parts of the Mediterranean Sea clocked 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the water. That's a hot bath, for goodness sake. And just like you guys from Canada, it's wildfires across southern France and also Greece and Turkey. And that just, it bothers people quite rightly. And they think about the issue of national food security
Mhm.
because we, like many countries, rely on food imports. The UK imports 40% of its food, which is high by your standards. I mean, 20% of the food you consume is imported, although, of course, you export a lot. But if we just focus for the moment on, say, fresh fruit and vegetables, the UK imports 50% of its fresh veg, which always astonishes me, and 85% of fresh fruit. You're nowhere near that, but at the same time, 35% of your fresh veg and 60% of your fresh fruit is also imported, of course, largely
Mhm.
from Mexico and other Latin American countries. And there must be some tariff interest there too. So, where does ours come from in the UK? Well, be frank, it comes from everywhere. But two-thirds of our fresh fruit and veggies come from just 10 countries. The top countries would be Spain, Peru, Morocco, Italy, and then perhaps surprisingly, the little country of Netherlands.
Hmm.
I looked at a pack of blueberries the other day in Tesco just to see where it came from, and it listed 16 different countries. Essentially, it said it could come from any one of these. So, what's the issue? National food security. Well, the fact of the matter is, particularly if I focus on younger consumers, I mean, millennials and Gen Z, that sort of group and down, they're of an age where they have no knowledge of seasonal eating, for goodness sake. So they expect 52-week availability of everything. And we're not getting that right now. We're seeing room on the shelf, so the gaps, and that sort of panics. It spooks people. And actually, we're becoming more more like New Zealand and Australia, where I do so much work. Those two countries, they hardly allow any imports, particularly of fresh produce.
Hmm.
Why? Ostensibly, anyway, it's because of biosecurity reasons, so keeping out pests and diseases. But so they're still they eat seasonally, and they just expect to do so, just as I would have done as a young boy. And as it happens, I've just penned an article on LinkedIn and I called it The Great Pumpkin in the Room. And I was looking at per capita consumption of fresh fruit and vegetables, which declining in the US, in Canada, in the UK, across most
Wow.
European countries, in Australia, and in New Zealand. And yet it's supposed to be, well, it is about eating healthily, but clearly we're not doing that. And why? Because it's perceived as being relatively expensive. Relatively against what? Well, costs per calorie of fresh produce is high, and it's just a lot cheaper to fill your children's tummies with high energy, high fat, high salt sugar products. And so, I mean, the concern really, if you look at national security for fresh produce in particular, is that normally if we're short of them in the summer, then prices go up. And actually, that drives less consumption and it moves people towards a less healthy diet. It's a concern.
It is a concern. And we certainly are concerned about that here in the States as well. In fact, next week, I believe, the next Make America Healthy Again Commission report is going to be released with a focus on children's health. So we'll see what kinds of recommendations and other policy implications that may have. So speaking of kids, summer is usually the favorite time of year for children, but we know not so much for parents. Clearly, we're experiencing that in our family. There's a reason many parents are dreading summer vacation, but food retailers are trying to help. So this is very interesting. I think we don't see this here in the States. So tell us what's going on in the UK.
Right. Well, as you say, right now in the UK, we're still in an inflationary period, particularly with regard to food. It's much higher than regular inflation. And what the summer holidays stretch the family food budgets. I mean, the figure we've got here is that for this year, that the food cost per family will be about $750 for the year above last year. And the result is, particularly at summer, is that mums dread the summer break. Isn't that awful? But as you say, retailers here have responded. So, for example, the supermarket chain Iceland, not the country, the supermarket chain, has a food club. And in the food club, you are eligible for a micro loan for $150 from the
Wow.
supermarket. There's no interest charge, but you have to pay back at $15 a week. And let's go to Morrison's, which is again a major supermarket chain. Kids eat free at the supermarket cafe. They're partnering with Kellogg's, for example, free brekkies for kids as well there. And in Morrison's, for $20, a family of four can have, let's say, fish and chips, peas, fish and chips, or curry, plus a coffee and cold drinks for the kids for $20, which is, that's a good deal. My supermarket, the one I use, Tesco, kids eat free with adults. And what I particularly liked, I just heard this morning actually, Tesco's, you earn shopping points and you can trade them in through Tesco for double the value to get you into various theme parks, museums, and fun places for kids over the
Oh,
summertime. And that seems a nice thing to do.
yeah.
Aldi, our hard discounter, which you have, they're donating millions of food plus meals. Asda, the Walmart related one, is donating food to school holiday clubs, etc. So it's encouraging that the retail trade are responding to. They can see the angst in their customers, the mum's eyes, frankly.
Interesting, interesting. So our final topic, when it comes to food retail, we know younger consumers have very different shopping patterns. As you mentioned, they expect produce 52 weeks a year. And that's causing many retailers to really rethink their strategies as they try to appeal to that younger group of consumers, because eventually they will be their long-term consumers. So tell us what's happening in the UK. What's going on?
Okay. Right. In my market, we've got a consumer-owned grocery chain, which is called the Cooperative. We just know it as the Co-op, and it has a 6% national market share, which, it's not small. Coincidentally, it's also the largest funeral market share in the UK, God love them.
Mm,
I'll be there before too long. And they're just opening a series of micro stores solely focused on food to go.
interesting.
Actually, how small are they? They're actually 20 times 30 feet. They're about 600 square feet. And they're offering made today, on the go, brekkies, lunch, dinner, and all day snack offers. And to my mind, they're trying to emulate, and this may surprise you, the best 7-Eleven stores one sees in Japan and Thailand. Now, I know that 7-Eleven isn't a high profile chain in food convenience in the USA, but it's a very, very big deal globally. Actually, they've got 85,000 stores in 20 countries. And
Wow.
I've been tracking them because a Canadian company called Couche-Tard, they're from Quebec, and couche-tard translators sleep late, by the way. And they're in the convenience business. They own Circle K in the USA and Circle K right across Europe too. And they've been trying to buy globally 7-Eleven, and they've offered them 48 billion, and it's been refused actually. Why? Because 7-Eleven said that's not enough, but also the Japanese government say we don't like big Japanese companies being sold. Thank you very much. So why is Couche-Tard interested in 7-Eleven? Well, it's the high margins that they see in fresh food to go, with a
Hmm.
particular focus on that younger under 40 shopper. Because remember, if you're in the traditional convenience shops, then you're in the business of selling cigarettes, maybe alcohol, if you're lucky to do that, gasoline. And those markets are just going backwards. But, go to Bangkok, for example, and there's a 7-Eleven every 70 meters. And they're an expansive, ready to eat meal and snack display. They're brilliant. And I think it's a signpost towards the way the world of Gen Z likes to refuel themselves. Their definition of convenience, for my mind, bears absolutely no relationship to mine. For goodness sake, in Bangkok, a 7-Eleven, which is next door to you, offers home delivery or office delivery service. It would take you 2 minutes to pick it up, but that's not convenient for a Gen Z. No, I want it, and I want it now. So
Right.
I think traditional grocery retailers are looking at this trend, and I think they should look at it with considerable trepidation. Does it threaten the big store format? Well, a combination of increased ordering of groceries online, if that continues, and a move for younger shoppers to buy on the hoof warrants discussion in the board rooms, I think, of big food retailers.
No question. We're currently seeing that in the C-store chains in the US as well, as they continue to evolve for that exact reason, how they continue to be attractive and offer more to the consumers who are looking for them as a very quick place to go and get not just gas and cigarettes, but food as well. David, fantastic insight as always. Travel safely to New Zealand, my friend. And we will invite you to join us back next month on September 4th for the fastest 15 minutes in food. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Take care.
Bye now. Thanks, Charlie.